Hello. Borrowing TGL's setup real quick because it's easy and it's here. But yeah, I published the first post in, honestly, I don't remember how long today. And I am super excited. And remember, I used to do these kind of reviews, and I've been helping out Alex a lot with his live learnings, and that's been a lot of fun. So I'm like, hey, why not do my own? So today we are going to go over the blog post today is "This is why we can't have nice screens," and it started as a joke with Alex yesterday. He is getting ready for his live learning. I'm like, hey, I'm going to troll you in your stream. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post all the worst advice, and I actually started listing them down one by one. And I thought it was hilarious. And we get to about the fourth one now. It's like, hey, this would be a great TGL episode. I'm like, yeah, it would. But I think it would make a better blog. So I took that concept and ran with it. And here's what we got. So I came up with 9 statements that are quote unquote best practices that are the worst best practice you could go with. So we're going to go over each one and see how bad it actually is. So our first one, it is always acceptable to recreate a custom field with the same name as the existing one. The more the merrier, after all. And it looks like the text is backwards. One moment. There we go. So you guys can read it. And this one is probably my biggest pet peeve, because you'll see this where stuff has the exact same or at least a very similar name to other custom fields. It's like, why are you doing this? Did you not look when you made this first? And the answer most of the time is no, they did not. Or they were worried about their data getting mixed up with someone else's, which I've never even understood that argument. But what happens when you do this? Let's just say you created 2 fields called project deadline. Now you have a due date field. Don't know why you need a project deadline, but you did this. You created two fields named project deadline. What's going to happen? Well, there's going to be two effects immediately. The first is going to happen when you go to add that field to a screen. And it's probably going to be your most immediate one because, yeah, they give you the option to do that little checklist thing when you're creating a field, and almost no one I know uses it. If you do use it, please let me know. But what I see most often is people go to the screens they want to add it to then immediately afterwards, and they'll go add like you would a normal field. Well, now you have two fields with the same name. So you type in this name and you get two pop-ups. And if you're lucky, you created them with different types, at which point you'll get the two options, and they'll say what type they are. And you'll select the one you just created because you just created it, which is great for now. If you ever need to add that field to a screen 6 months from now, good luck remembering what type it was. But for the moment, yeah, that works. You can tell them apart. If you create two fields with the same name and the same type, I'm not even sure Jira would let you do that, but I'm kind of confident it would because it really doesn't matter to Jira. It's going to reference it internally by the custom field ID. So it really doesn't matter to Jira. And good luck telling the two apart. You should guess which one is. Thankfully, it'll tell you the custom field ID. So if you're paying attention when you made it and remember what custom field ID yours has, you'll be good to go. But again, 6 months down the line, when you don't remember what that field ID is, good luck to you. The second impacts you not as an admin, but the users, because they're going to want to use the custom field in a report, a JQL, or something. I mean, there's got to be some reason they needed this field. So what happens then? Well, you do your filter on it. You go and type in the name of the field, and you get two pop-ups. This time, Jira doesn't tell you what type it is. It just says this custom field with this custom field ID, and this one with another custom field ID. And you got to try and figure out which one is the appropriate one, because it's not going to put the name in there because that's not unique anymore. It's going to put the CF bracket custom field ID close bracket in the JQL. And again, it works. The JQL will function just fine. But 6 months from now, a year from now, when you go to do the same field in JQL string, good luck remembering which field ID belonged to which one. So, yeah, you can do this. It is every expert I've talked to, and as well as myself, obviously, highly, highly discourage this. Don't even get anything close. If you have a field name that's close to one that already exists, just recycle the one that's already there. So what was my next one? Custom fields with hyper-specific, non-recyclable names are always the peak of best practice and should be sought out at every opportunity. Okay, this one was just for me really digging it into Alex during his stream. But yeah, when you're naming your custom field, you should obviously be thinking about your use case now. You really should. But you also should think about your use case in different projects. I mean, you could have project completion date, or you just have completion date. That means you could use it in a lot more places than just this one instance. And that means you have a chance to recycle that field instead of having to create another new field and another new field and another new field and so on. So absolutely be sure to think about how could this field be reused as you're naming it, and don't do these hyper specific. My example is someone who always puts the project key or the project name in custom field names. So if it's mobile data, the project name, it'll be mobile data project completion date. Now you really have absolutely no shot of reusing that field. So that's definitely something to definitely think about as you're doing this is be conscious of the fact that you're one to reuse these fields as much as possible and giving them hyper specific names, keying it down to a specific project or a specific task or something is really going to take away your ability to recycle these fields. So next one, the ideal number of screens on a field is, quote, and I'm quoting here because I have had someone tell me this. Are you kidding? There is never enough. Obviously, there is a point where there is enough. Um, it's hard to tell you what that point is. It's going to vary project to project and requirements to requirements. Um, I remember reading it in some engineering book, some point in college, where it went, a perfect design is one where there's nothing left to add, but there's also nothing left to take away. It has just enough to it. And I don't know why that really stuck with me of all things. There are plenty I forgot from college, but that one thing, of course, it stuck with me. And I find it so applicable when you're making a workflow or making a screen or designing some sort of process within Jira. Look, you need to add stuff and you will need to make compromises and add stuff, and that's great. Jira has these capabilities. It would be a shame not to use them. But you really need to be judicious about how you use them and make sure that you are not overusing them. You use them to just the extent you need to. Um, what I like to do personally is I'll have my list of requirements and they're vetted requirements. They'll be like, okay, why did you need this? Are you sure this didn't need this way, or is this the best way to do it? Or I'll have that final list of requirements when I go in to make the workflow, the status, the whatever. I'll go through and work to satisfy each requirement on the list. If I get one thing to satisfy multiple requirements, bonus points. It happens, it's rare, but that usually dictates how many fields or how many statuses and I need in a workflow, or how much whatever I need. I always try and take out as much as possible. I challenge every requirement during the vetting process, but I also add just as much as is needed. So there is too much. There is a point where it is too much. And let's dig into that point for a little bit. How much is too much? What happens when there is too much? Well, I like to say this, and I always drill this into new Jira admins. Put yourself in your user's shoes. You are somebody, you have a very busy job. You have your boss yelling at you, something needs to be done yesterday. It's an emergency, it's critical, but you have to make a work item before you can do it. So you go to Jira, you're in a hurry, you click create, you set your project, your issue type, work item type. That's going to happen a lot. We'll probably talk about that next week. But you set your work item type, you set your project, you get your list of fields for the create screen, and you realize this list is a mile long. Now, most reasonable workers, when they see this, are going to do one of three things. They're going to either put in as much garbage data as they have to get past that screen, to get on with their work. They're, worse yet, not going to put anything in. They're not even going to create the issue. They're just going to cancel out of it, go do what needs doing, and they'll worry about it later, if at all. Or the absolute worst case scenario, and this does happen, I promise you, they'll say F that, F Jira, and they'll go into Excel and they'll start using that to track their work, because that is a lot more convenient to them, a lot nicer. At that point, it's a nicer interface, and it's just a grid of squares. But you have made that a nicer interface by loading as many fields as possible onto a screen. And this goes for any transition screen, any view screen, you really have to be judicious because this is what this isn't what can happen. This is what will happen. So definitely think and be conscious about, is this field needed? Why is it needed? What is the requirement in satisfying? If it's not satisfying a requirement, be that a report has to be in or some information the workers will need to complete their work or whatever, why is it there? Busy work for the sake of busy work does no one any good. All right. This is a different statement, but I think it has the exact same solution as the previous one. You should only ever require fields. Why even have a field if it's optional? So, as bad as the problem I was seeing with the users with just having a wall of text in their face they have to fill out, if you make a field required and they have every field required and they have the bunch of fields that have to be filled out, that's what making it required does, is it makes it have to be filled out before you could even create an issue. And if you do this, they're going to take one look at that screen. They're going to say, I've got better things to do. They're either going to put in garbage data that does no good for whatever requirement it's going to satisfy, or more likely, they're just not even going to bother. That scenario pushes them into closer to the Excel solution or the not even bothering solution. And yeah, you have to be judicious about it. And if you are going to have required fields, because sometimes you do have to have specific information for reporting purposes, or you have to have specific information so that work can even start on an issue. And again, features are there to be used. If there's a requirement and it's not being overused, go for it. But make them clear, have them right at the start of the first tab of the page of the issue creation screen. That way they know they don't have to hunt to figure out which ones they have to fill out, because that is going to be an even worse scenario. So yeah, required fields are like having too many fields. Only as many as you need, fewer the better. Global contexts are efficient. Why bother scoping fields specific projects or issue types? And again, excuse me, this should be a work item type. As I said, this is going to happen for a good while. This has been ingrained. It was even in my outro for 5 years now. So it's going to take me a little bit to change over to work items. But there's a point where I honestly did believe this right after Atlassian made the change where they were starting to discourage the use of global context. And the fact is, I get it. Jira admins are busy. We've got 5,000 people, 10,000, 20,000 people screaming for different requirements that have to be balanced with each other. We got the system to consider and make sure it stays up and stays stable. We've got processes we got to analyze and a whole bunch of stuff that goes into being a Jira admin. We don't need one more thing to do. And there's a point where this didn't matter as much. And what happened is people start to really, really use Jira. And that's why we saw this massive explosion of instances. Back when I started, it was rare to hear of an instance that had 1 million issues. That was like the top of the top use case. Only a handful of companies had achieved that. Now, most companies, if they've been using Jira for any length of time, probably do have 1 million of issues in their main instance. And how those are divided out, that's always a big question, but that is a thing to that's more common. And with this growth of the use of Jira, indexes are ballooning, and the larger index is taking more time to search. That causes page loads time to slow down. It causes query index to slow down, dashboards to slow down. The index has a massive effect, even on cloud. Even on cloud, it has a massive effect on how your Jira instance will perform. So, what does having a scope down context that's just to the projects, or the best yet projects and issue types it needs to be? Well, that limits how big that particular custom field, how much space in the index that custom field can take, because it's only going to populate for those projects it's scoped for and those issue types it's scoped for. So that's going to save space in the index. It's going to help it run faster. And that's good. That's what we want as Jira admins. I'm not going to lie to you. Going through, especially if you have to add or expand the field context after it is created, it is a pain. It is. And saying otherwise, I think, is disingenuous. Is it the worst pain we have to deal with as Jira admins? No, by far no. But it is not fun, especially if you forget to control click and now you got to cancel out, reload it, and then control click because you're selecting multiple projects. You don't want to lose that data. All sorts of fun things there. So dealing with context is not fun, but it is absolutely necessary for the long-term performance of your instance. So it's definitely something you want to consider. All right. Field names should be full sentences, ideally with punctuation, a riddle, or at least a semicolon. Again, this is very similar to the non-recyclable names. That was our second bad advice towards the top of the video here. Field names, there's a science to it that I can't even begin to explain. But as with everything else, minimalism is best. If you could get the point across in 2 or 3 words, you're golden. There's no reason to really expand on it. If you need to expand it on it, to include directions, to include various details, use the field description. And here's the beautiful thing that I don't think a lot of people know. In your field configuration on your projects, you can override the field's default description with something specific for your project. So if the default field description says something like, for PR, it's the PR number, but you want to explain it, you want it in this specific format, you can override that default with your own to include PR number in this format. So that is definitely something you should consider here when you're going through these and setting up these field names. Is the field names themselves should be short and sweet. People shouldn't be reading War and Peace just for the sake of trying to figure out how to use this field. But if you do need further explanation, there will be times you do need further explanation. Use that description, either the default description for all projects, or if you need something just specific to a single project, use that field configuration. All right. Everything should be a free text field. You shouldn't ever have to bother Jira admin just to add another option after all. If you're a project admin, you are probably a firm believer in this, and I can't say I disagree. It is a hassle. When I've played the role as a project admin, it is a legit hassle trying to get options changed for a field in Jira, because you got to wait for Jira admin to free up and make that change. And you know how to do this. You've done this before, but you don't have the access to do it. So it turns into a big headache really, really fast. But free text fields have a number of distinct disadvantages. The first up, I'm going to say this just right off the bat, is reporting. if you're trying to run some sort of report on this data, I think of this as the best example. We were having a release across about 30, 40 different projects, codenamed Dragonfruit. So every one of these projects, their project lead, which was their team lead, had to create a version within that project called Dragonfruit. Well, being free text, everyone somehow still managed to do it differently, and it all, in this case, came down to spacing and capitalization. People either did Dragonfruit all lowercase one word, all lowercase Dragonfruit two words, only uppercase the dragon and had 2 words, only uppercase dragon had it 1 word. Every permutation you could think of for Dragonfruit was represented, and made trying to find all the issues for that release so we could get like release notes prepared and do the marketing briefings and get all the things you have to do in release planning done, a literal nightmare. So much so that the next code name we used was just a single word, and it was elderberry. And people still found a way to create permutations on that one. But we didn't have spacing differences anymore. That was good. But you'll be surprised how many people capitalize berry and elderberry when it's a release. So, yeah, definitely wish we were using advanced roadmaps back then. It was a different era. But these are the kind of things you get into, and this is amplified when you're just using like a description field or a free text field. It's so much so that a lot of gadgets won't even run reports on those kind of fields. So whenever possible, this is just general good advice for anything where people are entering data. Where possible, use preformed data fields, something like a select field, a radio button, a checkbox button if you need to be able to select multiple. Cascading dropdowns are fantastic for really dialing in data. These kind of things will make your life easier for reporting. So absolutely, not everything should be a free text field. And be open for your project admins to, they're going to need to make changes to these fields. The processes aren't static things that you define once and everyone follows forever. They evolve over time. So there's going to have to be changes. Be open to getting those done expeditiously so people feel free to use these fields, knowing that if they have to make a change, that's a minor thing to do. It's not going to cost them a year of their life. And the last one, the one that, if I see an instance with massive number of custom fields, 9 times out of 10, I see this problem. And about the other one time, it's because they've already fixed this problem. But let's go into it. You should let power users create fields themselves. What's the worst that could happen? Well, the worst that could happen is they do, and 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 they do. And this is where you find yourself with hundreds, if not thousands. Yes, I have seen instances with thousands of custom fields. And you can imagine what that index looks like after all that time and all those custom fields. And your power users, they're probably great Jira users. They're probably great project admins. They're not Jira admins. So they won't know that you need to scope down the field context. They'll just let them be global context, which is just even another hit on it. And that's not saying anything about them. Power users are great. I always try to get them on my side, make them my allies, because they're going to go out, they're going to be my evangelist. They're going to talk about the new features that are coming out to their teams. They're going to go and encourage people to use the best practices, they are absolutely your ally. But in order to have proper governance, you have to have a gate, a checkpoint where changes are not made unless they go past this checkpoint, and your admin team is that checkpoint. Having people who are able to go around your admin team and create custom fields or create configurations or create projects or whatever it is going to make it impossible to do proper governance on your issue, on your instance. So absolutely keep the number of admins down to as few as you could get away with and still provide proper support to your teams. So yeah, that was the Jira, the worst Jira best practices when it comes to custom fields. If you see another Atlassian creator, Atlassian champion now, I think is what we're officially called, doing a presentation on custom fields, be sure and share some of these absolute gems with them. Tell me how it goes. I love to hear the response. But yeah, think about how you're using custom fields. They are incredible. They're one of the things that make Jira great. The fact that you can specify what data is important to you. But it's like Uncle Ben always said, with great power comes great responsibility. Anyways, everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to check us out tomorrow night. I will be with Alex on the Jira Life channel. That'll be the same time this thing was, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. We're going to have Rob Heen. If you have never talked to Rob Heen before and never seen something he does, go to heen.tech on YouTube now. Subscribe to his channel. Watch some of his live streams. He is absolute fantastic trainer. I usually watch him just because he's on first thing in the morning after I finish my exercises. It's great to just kind of connect and just be there where the action's happening. A lot of great people there. Rob also has this great Discord community, but he will be on the Jira Life tomorrow talking about balancing life at his work life with his creator life and what's it been like to be a Atlassian creator. What was his experience as a champion at Team 25? And I'm going to admit, I'm still jealous with everyone who got to go to Team 25. It was not going to happen for me this year. I was not recovered enough. When I got physical therapy, I very quickly realized that I had made the right call because I was not recovered enough even then. But I'm looking forward to Team 25 Europe. I missed everyone at Team 25 this year. It's going to be a great time tomorrow talking to Rob about his experience and how he's doing what he's doing. But as we always say, what do I always say? God, it's been so long since I did this outro that I forget it now sometimes. Yeah. This is Ronnie, and I'm asking you, have you updated your Jira work items today? Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you for listening.